This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Chat me up a little bit about, the relationship. We've talked about the fact that at this point, Watts and Graham and everybody's getting along and blah, blah, blah. But when you've got a talent like Magnum TA that a lot of people think, man, this guy he could be the guy. There has to be at least some hurt feelings somewhere along the way when a guy like that is moving from territory to territory. Is there not? Or is there always the hope that, well, it's just temporary, he'll be back?
Well, yeah, it was all planned out. I mean, he wasn't surprised that when he got to Oklahoma, oh, by the way, you're going to stay here a year.
No, I mean in terms of Eddie Graham. Was Eddie frustrated or disappointed?
Eddie was done with him.
Okay.
And Eddie may not have seen the magic in Magnum TA that others did. I'm not saying he didn't, but he made Magnum expendable and wanted somewhere for him to go. And Dusty and Jim Crockett were not ready to take him. They didn't think he was ready for their level at that time. And Cowboy had a little different coaching style. He's a little bit different of a teacher and a mentor and all those things. So the plan was all along, we've got this great kid. He's been trained down there with Eddie, and Eddie wants us to take him, but I don't think he's ready for us. I thought maybe you could help him. And Cowboy had familiarity with Terry Allen. Said, hell yeah, let me get my hands on him, see if I can't help him learn a few things and put him with veteran heels that know how to lead him and help him tell a story. So that was always the strategy. Maybe the only thing that wasn't nailed down, Conrad, was when Magnum would be returning.
Right.
But we always knew that we'd have at least 6 weeks to prepare for his departure, and probably more, quite honestly. So that's how that worked out. Because you keep the positive relationships going with the company. Magnum comes in here and becomes a big star. He leaves, gets on TBS, becomes a bigger star. So when he comes back to our territory for a special one-night deal or big show or something, Christmas night or whatever it may be, that helps everybody. So that's kind of how that went. It was a different mindset. And, at your age, you're a young guy, you're living in a different mindset as far as wrestling is concerned than it used to be.
Right.
Back in the proverbial day.
I feel strongly that saving money is important. If it's not something we worry about now, boy, we are really going to worry about it later. And I want to help you get out of debt faster and do it with cheaper monthly payments. I'm talking to you if you're in a 30-year loan. Now is the time to take years off of your loan. We're routinely helping our listeners cut 5, 10, even 15 years off their loan. And you can do this without perfect credit with no money out of pocket. You've just got to start at SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk a little bit about the performer, Magnum TA. A lot of our younger listeners who grew up with you on their Attitude Era WWF Monday Night Raw shows, they never really got to see Magnum. And you've described that he's a good-looking, handsome kid. He wasn't shaving his body. He wasn't trying to go with that bodybuilder look everybody else had in terms of being sleek. But he did have that thick Tom Selleck style mustache, very popular with the ladies at the time. But as far as his promos and his work, could you describe him and maybe make some, characterizations to more modern talent that some of our younger listeners may be familiar with? Like, oh, he wrestled a little bit like this guy. And
yeah, I get it.
Promos like that guy type of thing.
I got it. You're not talking to Silva here.
Yeah.
Will Ramus Jr.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think in today's world. He was the old school people would say he was a rough baby face because his body was not in the traditional baby face mold. Everybody had to be hairless and all that good stuff, which he wasn't. He reminds me now a little bit of a Moxley, just that he can wrestle, but he chooses to fight more often. Magnum's delivery on his interviews was very intense. and very focused. And I think that's kind of like his work, intense and focused. He had that intensity that a Stone Cold had, as far as having the passion, and makes you believe that he came to fight, he came to represent us, whether he's going to say it or not. And this guy's a star. But he every intangible in every generation that I've been a part of, Conrad, since the 70s, he would have checked the boxes for. He could work babyface or heel. He could work with anybody, athletically. You believed in him. He could go out and have a match, a bloody street fight with Bruiser Brody, just as easy to go out and have a 60-minute draw with Ric Flair. Very versatile, very intense, and that's what he brought with him every time out. So he became very reliable in that regard. And then all of a sudden, the people believed in him. We did a couple of angles that helped facilitate that. I'm sure we'll talk about, but people started believing in Magnum TA, and he was a beloved character.
Do you think Magnum had any weaknesses? You've talked a lot about his strengths. When you first see him, sometimes you see talent and you say, man, this kid's got something. If he could, when he ever decides or when he ever figures out blank, he's going to be somebody. Did he have any weaknesses when you first saw him?
The only thing I saw Conrad was inexperience.
Right.
Sometimes the hesitation on what to do next.
The transition between spots, you mean?
Yeah. And that became simply a fait accompli, because the more ring time you have in front of a live audience, the easier that situation is to address. So I would only say, gosh, I'm just thinking inexperience is the only thing I can think of. I mean, he had the body, he had the look, he was athletic. I believed he was a tough guy. I believe that. So he broke the traditional not centuries, that's an exaggeration, but decades old scenario of what a babyface normally looks like.
Right.
Ricky Steamboat. You look at Ricky Steamboat, well, that's a good guy. And Ricky's what we talked about. He didn't have hair all over his body. He didn't have any tattoos.
Right.
It's a different stereotype.
Right.
And Magnum destroyed that stereotype, which I think for a lot of the boys that have followed him that are not have the traditional baby face bodies or look, that he gave them a boost. He helped them.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.